Hi, I'm Scott Kroepel with Hesperia, Michigan History Spotlight. Today we're here with Ronald Dean Dake. He is a former resident of Hesperia. He is a Korean War veteran, and he's an author. So thank you for joining us today and
it's my pleasure.
letting us hear about yourself and your history to Hesperia. If you want to start out by telling us a little bit about yourself and the history of...
Okay, well, first of all, let me start about the family. My great-grandparents migrated from New York to Michigan in the 1850s. My grandfather was born on the homestead. They homesteaded a half a section of land, 4 miles east of Hesperia.
Okay.
And I was born there. My father was born on that. His father was born on that homestead.
Yeah.
And I had aunts and uncles all around me. And I lived there for 18 years.
Is that right?
I worked the land with my dad back in the Depression. This was 1934 when I was born. And we worked pretty much like the Amish work today. If you go out to an Amish farm and watch them work, we were that way. Horses were the main transportation. And
what was it like growing up in the Depression?
it was, well, I didn't know that we were poor. I didn't know we didn't have anything.
Because everybody was.
We had all the food and everything we could eat.
Sure.
And everything was from the farm. My dad had a maple sugar bush about a half a mile from the farm. He didn't own it. He worked it on shares with the owner, Wessenfeld, his name was. And that got us through the Depression. Of course, we always had sugar, maple sugar, and we always had the goods from the vegetables and meat from the farm. So that was basically it.
Yeah.
I did wear hand-me-down clothes because that's all I could get. I had shoes that turned up the toes because they were too long for me. But now I look back at that and it makes me smile.
No, modest, background there. Yeah, it was tough for a lot of people, from what I understand. And speaking with my grandpa back in the day, he said, we didn't know we were poor because everybody was poor. So we didn't think much of it. What did you do for fun? Anything off the farm or?
Yeah, when I got into high school, first of all, I went to Denver School, which is actually was a 2-room school. One room was the class, and it was from kindergarten to 12th grade or 8th grade, I believe. Okay. And then the other room was where we ate our lunch. And we moved into Hesperia's school district about 1944, I believe it was. And from then on, I went to Hesperia School, and I finished the 6th and 7th grade there. Then I went through high school.
Did you go to the high school in town, or was it the one at the schoolhouse?
It was where just
over on Jefferson.
Just south of the library over there, where the main school was.
Oh, the high school. Yep, sure. What's some of your fondest memories about back when you lived in Hesperia?
My fondest memories always include the people. The people here in Hesperia and in this area, this is from Hesperia to Fremont, White Cloud, are probably the fondest people that you'll ever find any place.
Yeah.
Nobody was ever turned away from our door hungry, and you could go to any other place and they would welcome you. That's the main thing. And then that's what I remember out of high school is the people that I hung around with and had fun.
Seems to be similar today. I mean, every town has its challenges, and politics aside and everything like that, it still comes down to the people, and Hesperia does seem to still have a bunch of caring people, and at the end of the day, it's about taking care of each other, and the town still does a pretty good job of that.
And most of the buildings are still here that were here. Some of them are gone. There used to be a restaurant across the street from what is now the antique store. It used to be a hardware store. My brother married Barney Cohn's daughter. Barney was involved in the hardware business here with turbos.
I remember the name, hearing that name.
And I was in the band at the high school. And
what did you play?
I played the trombone for 2 years, and then I played the baritone for 2 years because the baritone player retired or graduated, and I took over the baritone for him. John Decker, the band leader, was one of my heroes. He was a mentor. Took me under his wing, and it was quite an experience.
Nice, nice. So you wrote a book called God's Overcoat Pocket.
When I was a small boy,
tell us about that a little bit.
I would be afraid of thunder and lightning, just like a lot of kids. My dad would pick me up and he'd say, "Don't be afraid, son, you're just as safe as if you were in God's overcoat pocket." And I never forgot that.
That's nice.
And I get that feeling every time I come here. Now, I left in 1952. I went into the Air Force. And I came back to Grand Rapids in '64 and stayed there until I retired from the Air Force. But Hesperia and the area around here is still my home. And that's what I think of as home. I've lived in South Carolina for 45 years. But Hesperia, Michigan is my hometown. And it will always be.
Nice. I
have relatives buried in East Cemetery. I have them buried in Bull Cemetery, out next to close to Webster's Place.
Webster's old property. You don't hear about the Bull Cemetery too often.
No, you don't. There's a lot of things you don't hear about. But some of the things you don't hear about are some of the people that were graduates here. For instance, Bob Hills. I don't know if you know Bob or not.
The Hills name rings a bell.
He married an Oman girl, and their parents owned a first service station that's now a restaurant.
Oh, up on the corner where Daniels is now.
Yeah. And Bob went to work for Gerber's. We all did when we graduated from high school. And I went in the Air Force, and Bob stayed. And he became very, very important in the Gerber system. I mean, people don't know this. This is not in the history books, but this is the history of the people of Michigan, of Hesperia. He opened plants in Ireland and Mexico and California, and he did so much. He was a very, very important person in that system. People don't know about it.
Wow.
There are others that I knew that I can't recall right offhand that went on into very serious positions.
One of our Hesperia graduates went on to become CEO. I believe was that Carl Smith, I think. Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. I'd never heard that name before. That's interesting that he was one of them who was in charge of setting up all those companies around the world. I appreciate you talking to us today. Do you have any advice for the younger generation?
Well, I would say that first of all, we're all in this together, so we need to take care of one another if we ever expect to get out alive. We are in fact our brother's keeper, and the more people come to realize that, the better off everybody is. And of course the golden rule is always treat others as you'd like to be treated. But another thing is a person's attitude. And I once read a sign that somebody had up that if you change your attitude, you can change the world. And I thought, that's pretty cliche. But then I started thinking about it. And our attitude it affects the way we react to people and what their perception of us is. And how they perceive us is their world.
Very true, yeah.
And so, in fact, you can. And if you do that, you find that you're a lot happier. Other people don't get under your skin. You don't have the road rage that other people have, and you can control your emotions if you stop and think about it.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Ron Dean Dake, God's Overcoat Pocket, available on Amazon and from the publisher and other places
And
too.
books and Barnes & Noble and Books A Million also have it.
Great. Thank you for your service.
Oh,
And thank
you're
you
welcome.
for sharing your story with us. And
A lot of the things I said here are in the book. So I would like to point out I was born in that house, which is located 4 miles east of Hesperia on Highway 20, where it intersects with North Stone Road. That's where I grew up.
Be the southeast corner of M20 and Stone. Yep. Yep. Well, thanks again. Thank you for.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
And yeah, I'm going to blow your whistle just a little bit here, because I personally think that what you're doing is outstanding. It's something that every town, every location in the United States needs somebody that has the curiosity and the backbone and the will to do what you do. I know personally that you have put in hundreds of hours work making those 2 websites.
It's just, I mean, it's fun for me. It's like a fun hobby. I see something, I'll do a little research, find out some information about our history, and then I'll see something else, whether I'm going through an antique store or going through another article, and I see something that I've read before, and oh yeah, that ties together. It's kind of like my version of putting together a puzzle. It's
But more than you satisfying your hobby,
right.
It's how you affect other people, and it's like a teacher. A teacher never really knows how many lives they touch and how many things happen because of a word they said or something like this. And what you have put in there goes out to hundreds of people, all of the people that ever lived in Hesperia or ever visited here. And take it from an old Hesperian. There were times when I read some of the things on that website that brought me to tears. And I think it's
Well,
a
I appreciate
wonderful
that.
job.
I appreciate that. I'm trying to preserve Hesperia's
I think
history also.
You
And,
should be recognized by the people of the Hesperia.
well, I appreciate that. Hesperia, Michigan History YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe. Like us on Facebook. And let us know in the comments if you have any questions about Hesperia, anything you'd like to see as far as interviews, more of these spotlights, or anything else that we can do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again.